When I said yes to Adrian Blackwood, the elusive billionaire every woman dreamed of, I thought I had stepped into a fairy tale. The gowns, the glittering parties, the mansion that looked like it belonged in a movie, it all felt like the kind of life people would kill for. But what I didn't know was that my husband wasn't just wealthy. He was powerful in ways that didn't glitter under the chandeliers. Adrian's empire wasn't built on boardrooms and handshakes, it was built in the shadows, tied to secrets, enemies, and a world I never should have stepped into. And then the worst happened. His enemies found me. The night I confronted him, his grip closed tight around my hand as he dragged me out of the mansion, his voice low and urgent. "They know about you, Elena. We have to leave. Now." That was the moment it hit me like a punch in the chest. This wasn't the story of a perfect marriage anymore. This was the story of my survival. Adrian's sleek black car screeched out of the driveway, tires shrieking against the pavement like a warning I couldn't ignore. The city lights blurred past the tinted windows, but all I could focus on was the violent pounding in my chest. My heartbeat was so loud, it almost drowned out the roar of the engine. I sat in the back seat, trembling, my palms damp, my mind racing faster than the car itself. Who knows about me? Who are they? My voice shook as the questions tumbled out, desperate and uneven. Adrian didn't answer right away. His jaw was locked tight, his eyes fixed on the dark road ahead. Both hands gripped the wheel as though letting go for even a second might mean disaster. Finally, his voice cut through the silence, low, sharp, and terrifyingly calm. "Rivals. Men who would kill for what I have. They've discovered you're my wife, Elena. Which makes you," his knuckles whitened against the leather steering wheel, "a target." The words hit harder than I expected. A target. Me. My throat tightened, every breath suddenly feeling too small, too fragile. "So what now?" I whispered, though it came out more like a plea. "We just run? Hide? Because none of this makes sense to me yet." His gaze flicked to me in the rearview mirror, dark and unreadable. "No," he said firmly. "We fight. But first, we disappear." And so we did. We drove for hours, the glowing skyscrapers shrinking behind us until the city was nothing more than a faint memory swallowed by shadows. The farther we went, the darker it became, until all I could see was endless trees pressing in on either side of the road. Finally, Adrian slowed and pulled into a secluded estate hidden deep in the woods, a sprawling fortress he called a safe house. But as the gates clanged shut behind us, the word safe felt like a lie. To me, it wasn't a sanctuary. It was a gilded cage. Days slipped by in a blur of silence and shadows. Adrian spent most of his time behind locked doors, his voice muffled through the walls as he took call after call. Sometimes men in sharp black suits would arrive without warning, disappearing into his study with faces carved from stone. I never knew their names. I never asked. Meanwhile, I wandered the endless halls of the estate like a ghost, restless, lonely, and afraid of what I might discover if I looked too closely. Every chandelier, every polished floor, every gilded frame seemed to whisper that I didn't belong here. Then, one night, I heard it. Voices. I had been walking past a half-open door when the word slipped out into the hall, sharp and cold enough to stop me in my tracks. "If she talks, everything collapses." Adrian. I froze, blood rushing in my ears, heart thundering so hard I thought they might hear it. Another voice followed, deeper, colder. You trust her too much. She could ruin us. My breath caught in my throat. My fingers curled against my chest as if holding myself together could keep me from falling apart. Were they talking about me? I stumbled back a step, careful not to make a sound, my pulse racing so fast it hurt. The world tilted in that moment, the floor threatening to vanish beneath my feet. Adrian, the man I had married, the man I thought would protect me, was he really guarding me, or guarding himself? The question echoed inside me, louder than any voice in that room. Could I still trust him? Or to Adrian Blackwood, was I nothing more than a liability now? It happened 2 nights later. I was in my room, the silence pressing heavy against the walls, when the sound shattered everything. Glass exploded inward, shards scattering across the floor like falling stars. A masked man hurled himself through the window, a knife glinting wickedly in his hand under the moonlight. I froze for half a heartbeat before a scream ripped from my throat. My back hit the dresser as I stumbled away, my pulse hammering so loud it drowned out the world. And then, chaos. The door slammed open and Adrian stormed in like a thunderclap, his eyes locked on the intruder. Before I could even process what was happening, he lunged, tackling the man to the ground. The room erupted into violence, fists colliding with flesh, grunts of pain, the sickening crack of bone. Blood smeared across the floor as the struggle turned primal, savage. Finally, with a roar, Adrian slammed the man against the wall, one arm crushing him in place. His voice was low and lethal, vibrating with barely contained fury. "Who sent you?" The intruder spat blood onto the floor, his mask slipping to reveal a sneer. His gaze flicked toward me, sharp, deliberate. "They don't care about you anymore," he rasped. "They want her. Her. Me." The world tilted, my knees weakening beneath me. Before I could breathe, before I could even think, Adrian's hands twisted sharply. A crack echoed through the room. The man's body crumpled lifelessly to the floor. I gasped, stumbling back as the air rushed out of me. Horror clamped down on my chest. You killed him." Adrian turned slowly, his face unreadable, his eyes dark in unreadable pools I couldn't quite recognize. His voice, when it came, was calm, almost too calm. "I saved you." That night, sleep was impossible. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw it again, the sharp twist of Adrian's hands, the lifeless body crumpling to the floor. And then my gaze drifted to him. The man I had married. The man who had just taken a life without hesitation. Was he my protector, or my captor? The question gnawed at me until dawn broke. By morning, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to get out. I packed a small bag with trembling hands, just the essentials, just enough to vanish. My heart pounded with every creak of the floorboards as I slipped quietly down the hall and pushed open the side door. Cool air rushed against my face, and for a brief, fleeting moment, freedom felt possible. The trees loomed ahead, their shadows like open arms inviting me to escape. I made it to the edge of the woods, my breath ragged, my pulse a drumbeat in my ears. The road wasn't far. Just a few more steps. Then I saw it. A car rolled into view, black and sleek, its tinted windows reflecting nothing back at me. My stomach dropped. The doors opened, and men stepped out, their movements sharp, their guns catching the morning light. One of them leveled his gaze at me. His voice was steady, commanding. "Mrs. Blackwood, come with us." My body locked in place. My heart thundered so hard I thought it might break free from my chest. And then, gunshots. The stillness shattered as bullets tore through the air. Shouts rang out. Adrian's men stormed in from the shadows, weapons blazing, dragging me backward even as I fought against them, terrified and confused. Before I could process the chaos, Adrian appeared. His eyes blazed with fury, his face carved in anger I had never seen before. He pulled me into his arms with a grip so fierce it almost hurt. "What were you thinking, Elena?" His voice roared above the gunfire. "Do you want to die?" Tears burned my eyes, spilling hot down my cheeks. My voice cracked, raw and broken. "I just wanted my life back, Adrian. I didn't ask for any of this." For a moment, something flickered across his face, pain, anger, maybe even regret. But then it hardened into steel. He cupped my face, his voice lower now, dangerous in its intensity. "You are my wife. That means your life is mine to protect. Whether you like it or not." That night, I couldn't close my eyes. Sleep was a stranger, and the darkness pressed in heavy around me, wrapping the room in silence. Because the truth had finally sunk in. I wasn't just trapped by Adrian's enemies. I was trapped by Adrian himself. I turned over, restless, trying to quiet the storm in my head, when I heard it. A voice. Low. Sharp. Cutting through the stillness like a blade. "Adrian." I slipped out of bed, barefoot, and crept toward the sound. The door was cracked open, just enough for his words to slip through. "If she betrays me, eliminate her." The air rushed from my lungs. My blood turned to ice. Was he talking about me? I pressed my hand to my mouth, holding back the scream clawing up my throat. My heart slammed against my ribs, every beat echoing the same question: how could the man who had sworn to protect me sound so willing to destroy me? I had married a billionaire to save my family. I had thought wealth and power meant safety, a shield from the darkness. But now I knew better. The only question that mattered was this: would Adrian Blackwood save me from his enemies? Or destroy me himself? If this story kept you on edge, don't forget to subscribe to Platinum Stories, because in Part 3, the truth about Adrian's past will finally be revealed.